Now more than ever, innovative technologies are fueling change and sparking new ways of thinking. Collaboration between corporations and startups is key to staying at the forefront of these trends. However, finding the right startups can be expensive, time-consuming, and ineffective. But Plug and Play is here to help. As a corporate partner, you will gain access to a whole ecosystem of innovation. Discover startups that meet your tech interests. Stay updated on the latest trends and network with industry peers. We will help you during every stage of your innovation journey, no matter where you are and where you want to go. Get in touch today.
All right, good morning and welcome everyone to Winter Summit, Day 1, Enterprise Tech. My name is Nate Hinman. I'm co-director of our Enterprise Tech program with Connie Weisman. Very excited to have all of you here today, some people in person, a lot of you virtual. Before we get kicked off, I wanted to quickly introduce Neda Amidi, our president, to open up with some opening remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nate. It's a pleasure to be here in person at our headquarters here in Sunnyvale. This is my first time officially on stage after 2 years of doing these types of events virtually from our computers. So it's a pleasure to be back here on stage in our headquarters today. Thank you so much to the team for facilitating today's session. This kicks off our Winter Summit. We'll have about 9 different industries that will be graduating over the course of the next 2 weeks. This will be over 150 startups that you'll hear from. So get your coffee and get ready. This past year has been an amazing year for us. I think I'll kind of summarize it in 3 different buckets. Going into first our portfolio, it was an amazing year for our portfolio. This past year, we actually have made over 220 investments this past year into startups, all over the globe, and it has been a remarkable year for unicorns and companies that have joined our unicorn club. About 10 that have joined us, and many of which you'll hear from over the course of the next few months as well. The next point has been around our exits. So we've had over 20 exits as well in our portfolio. So I think everyone has seen all the different funding events this past year. It's been an incredible year to be a startup and to be a founder and an entrepreneur. And we've been thrilled to be a part of that. And with that, we've been doubling down with the industry funds to invest more in more startups and more companies throughout the years to come. The next area has been around our expansion into new locations and new programs. We kicked off into Cairo and in Egypt. We kicked off in Calgary and Canada, as well as in Chicago here in the US, as well as in South Korea. So we're really excited about our international expansion as well as our domestic expansion in the US. And our third point, which is always my most favorite, has been around our people and our activities around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and really recognizing that our differences are what make us stronger as a company, as an ecosystem, as a platform. And this past year, although it's been an amazing year in terms of our growth and expansion, it has also been a challenging year for many people, whether it be around mental health or around some of the adversity and challenges this past, I would say, year and a half or 19 months now. So we've also put a lot of effort around leading with empathy and really making sure that we are an inclusive company as well. And it's really exciting to be here today with our hybrid setup here, being here on stage, as well as we'll have networking receptions throughout the week. So please do contact your plug and play champion if you happen to be here in the Bay Area. We'd love to meet you in person, and we're really looking forward to doing this more fully in person in 2022. So with that, I wish everyone an amazing summit week and a good end to 2021 and kick off into 2022. Thank you, and passing it back over to you, Nate.
All right, thank you very much, Netta. So just jumping into the agenda for the week. This week we'll cover 4 different programs, so Enterprise Tech Today, Health, InsurTech, and FinTech. Next week is Track 2 with Internet of Things, Real Estate and Construction, Energy, Mobility, and Travel and Hospitality. Just really quickly wanted to highlight the team here. So team's been growing over the past couple of years. We added Gavin Lynham and Carlos the past year to help with corporate innovation, new partnerships, as well as on the venture side in sourcing and investments. Everyone else here, myself and Connie Wiseman are co-directors of the program. Zoe Wu is our amazing program and partner success manager, and Amit Patel is our senior ventures associate. Many of you have seen these focus areas over the past, but just for those who haven't, wanted to reiterate the broad focus area that Plug and Play Enterprise Tech has. So we're looking into a wide variety of enterprise tech solutions, basically anything enterprise B2B software, cybersecurity, automation, growth and customer experience, infrastructure and IT, human resources and talent, big data and analytics are the main focuses for us this year. Added some new partners as well. So this year we've added Unisys, ArmaSuisse, and Diversi. Diversi is one of our first partners down in the Southeast area, and we're hoping they'll be involved in our Atlanta office as well. Up next, we have a panel discussion around a practical overview of artificial intelligence for business leaders. Leading the panel is Avanish Misra, the co-founder and CEO of Scan.ai, a portfolio company of ours that's doing some really exciting things in the AI space. Joining Avanish is Jocelyn Goldfein, Managing Director at Zeta Venture Partners, as well as Sanjay Srivastava, who's the Chief Digital Officer at Genpact. So without further ado, we'll jump into this panel and then after that, start up presentations. Thank you very much.
Jocelyn and Sanjay, welcome to this conversation on a practical overview of AI for business leaders. And to the audience, I say you could not have had it better. You have from the horse's mouth a person who invests in AI and the person who's in the belly of the beast as far as the intersection of AI and real business is concerned. Sanjay Srivastava from Genpact and Jocelyn Goldfein from Zeta Venture Partners. I have a personal connection with both of them. One of them is an investor in my company, and the other person was the acquirer of my last company. So could not have been a better and a warmer conversation that we will have today. Jocelyn, I want to begin by asking you, what's all this happening in the AI world today from an investor's point of view? What's the excitement about? What's the real practicality behind all the things that we keep hearing about AGI and narrowness and broader AI? What's your view on this?
Yeah, well, I maybe start with just sort of setting the landscape or the terminology for folks not working, very, very closely in this field. We're having an incredible kind of AI spring here in the late 20-teens, early 2020s. And a lot of it is with technology that was, alive and was postulated, was developed, was in the research lab in the 80s and 90s, in some cases even the 60s and 70s. I studied some of this stuff in class in college, but it was all deemed really impractical. And what's actually enabled the AI revolution is not a breakthrough in AI algorithms, but actually it's cloud. It's the sort of, the crashing, the not skyrocketing, but crashing costs of cloud compute, the general availability of more data, the practicality to feed algorithms with monstrous quantities of data and compute. That's what's made these kind of academic ideas from the 80s and 90s actually become practical here in the 20-teens, 2020s. And, and I really, in some cases, I really prefer the term, machine learning or deep learning over AI. I think it's kind of a pity actually that we've settled on the language of artificial intelligence to describe this technology. Because I think AI always makes me think of science fiction, like of open the pod bay doors, Hal. I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. Like, robots and sentience. And that's really not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is math. What we're talking about is linear algebra at enormous scale and representing, long vectors of numbers and sort of projecting them into space and finding things that are similar to other things with degrees of parameters that humans can't sort of readily reason about, but the machines can, because machines are really good at crunching numbers when you throw enough machines at the problem. And that is enabled now AI to do a number of things, machines to do a number of things that previously thought only possible for humans, whether that is object recognition of what's going on in an image, whether that is extracting ideas, concepts, semantics out of text, whether that is, to be able to make a recommendation or a prediction of the future based on the past. And, I think sometimes when people look at sort of breakthroughs like AI winning at chess, we think that oh, this means the machines are really smarter than humans now because chess is very, very hard and only the smartest humans can be good at it. But the reality is, machines are still really bad at lots of things that are trivial for human beings, like fine motor control. So, we're pushing the boundaries on all kinds of fronts. But some of these problems are, some problems historically, that were manual and tedious for humans are actually very easy for machines to do. Some problems that require our creativity, our thoughtful judgment, those are still very hard for machines to do. So I picture a world in which humans and machines continue to collaborate as we have always done throughout history. But for sure, the machines are becoming more and more powerful now.
And Jocelyn, if I can just continue this thread, what are you finding most exciting coming out of these in practical applications across the industry that you've seen?
Oh my gosh, I'm excited about so many things. Like, you can't ask a VC this question. I'm an optimist about technology. But all right, so I think, obviously there's places where we can streamline, we can make things more efficient. If you can take, like, we're having a supply chain crisis right now, that's top of everybody's mind. But if you can take the supply chain and make it 1% more efficient, 1% more optimized, you've just fed half the world, right? Like, this solves hunger, this solves cost, this is terrific. Or if you take, cloud infrastructure, the compute and all the spend that we spend powering technology, if we can make that optimal, 1 or 2% more optimal, all of a sudden we've got great leverage to deliver more services to people for less cost. But above and beyond efficiency, I think when we think about technology, we often go to efficiency first. But I'm really excited also about the power of machines and humans working in tandem to solve problems that have been too hard for humans working alone. And there I think about the really big stuff, like human health, drug discovery, cancer treatment, protein folding, and being able to uncover new synthetic biology, all those kind of cool ideas. And then the health of the planet. I think we all face an existential threat from climate change, and the problems are accelerating, and our time to find a solution is diminishing. And I really think that AI could accelerate our search for the solutions. So I'm tremendously excited for a lot of the areas where we're pushing the frontiers.
Indeed. Sanjay, I want to ask you, are you equally excited? And given that, as I said right at the start, right at the belly of the beast, if you will, where the digital rubber is hitting the real road, where exact friction is happening in these large-scale business processes and so on and so forth, where is the reality there at that level? What are your views there, and what have you seen in the last 10 years?
I want to first start by double scoring Jocelyn's point about climate change. In the end, climate change is really just a data, AI, and a change management problem. It is so solvable. It is unbelievable. And so thank you for, and a shout out to, bring that to people's top of minds. It's just such an important thing to do. Avinash, on my side, listen, I am super optimistic and bullish on the use of AI in the enterprise. We work with large global corporations across many different industries, and across the board, I'll tell you. And actually, this is not even anecdotal. We spent some time with MIT, actually did a very formal research of CIOs and top of mind items. And essentially, as you can imagine, we asked for the top 3 things, and it came out to be cloud, data, and AI. And AI is now a large investment priority for most CIOs, most large corporations that I work with. And it is clear as day that there's investment happening and returns that are being generated. And so I'm super bullish about where the intersection of AI is in the enterprise. And clearly, whether it's large scale data problems like climate control, which obviously is much bigger than any one enterprise, or getting specifically into an enterprise that is looking at it. And I think, by the way, I think there's 2 things that are happening for enterprises. So if you put yourself in the shoes of a large global corporation, on one hand, you're seeing what's happening in the industry. The pandemic has changed the future of work. The way you compete in the industry has completely changed. Companies have had to react from, think about health visiting a doctor's office in the United States. It used to be 3% or 4%. Now we're at 98% telemedicine in the ability to actually interact with the doctor through a video link like this. Think about all of the money that was spent in trade promotions and where that toothpaste was placed on which shelf, on which row, and behind what, and next to what else. All of that now changed to curbside pickup, and how do you actually deal with that? And then on and on and on as you go industry after industry after industry, we've all had to deal with radical changes in the external environment, and against that, build a new set of business capability and offerings to be able to compete in the new normal. And that really requires a new technology backbone. That requires a new way of doing things, and that pulls in the innovation. And that's one of the reasons I think, we see AI getting adopted, because it solves for problems. It's come a long ways, right? So language is you might even consider, if you add translation into multiple languages, above human grade. Computer vision is probably at or just slightly below human grade. Pattern recognition is well past any human grade level that we can think about, right? So these are mature capabilities, number one. So that's one piece of it. The cost of doing it has come down, right? So I was reading some research from Stanford, and they talked about now it costs $7.50 to train a neural net for a specific task. And think about the compression and cost that's gone in from what we used to be even 5 years ago when we started putting this into play to today. So you're getting economies of scale. You're getting new capability that is at the right level of performance. And then I think the last thing that's happening is most enterprises are looking to data as the largest driver of transformative value. And we're all trying to understand how you pull it together into a composite infrastructure that allows you to be able to unlock. And AI, just in the process of unlocking that unstructured data into structured information, is proving to be really useful. So you got a set of business needs that are converging with a set of emerging technologies and economies of scale that are just coming together, and it's creating this magic moment. I actually think the prospect for AI in the enterprise is really high. Now, I do think there's issues, and I can talk about that as well, just to give you more of a balanced perspective as to what's happening with AI in the enterprise. And maybe the 3 things that I think are challenges that we all work with as we deploy AI day in, day out into a variety of different business applications. When you're within an enterprise, you've got a small data set problem, and I'll come back to that, number 1. You've got a long tail problem, and I'll come back to that, number 2. And then finally, you have this stuck in the POC problem. That is the most intriguing problem, and I'll want to spend a few minutes on that if you'll allow me, Avinash. Look, I think the small data problem we all know. So fundamentally, you're sitting within an enterprise, you're bound with the 4 walls, you've got some external data, you can pull it in, but you're not running a search business, you're not running an ad business, you just don't actually have the volume of data to be able to work through all of the use cases and then be able to train a model that covers not 98% of the use case scenarios, but 100% of the use case scenarios because the challenge always is the one that gets away, the one check that gets written that you didn't want it to write, the one, response that goes out that you don't want it to say. And that's not like the 90% scenario. That's in the 99.99999.1% scenario. And getting that use case coverage requires you the data sets you need to be able to do that. And that's one of the things we struggle with. And there's ways to get around that. And we found ways to solve for that. I think the second big thing that most companies, most CIOs I work with really worry about is the long tail problem, right? So you've got search and then you've got ads, and then you draw this long tail out, you have very high AI concentration, large revenue, large monetization opportunity, and then it starts curving down and you get into these individual use cases, and whether it's, you're rolling sheet of steel off of mills and you're trying to find defects in that, or you're looking at insurance claims processing and figuring out what's right, what's wrong. These are smaller use cases. And so the amount of talent, the capabilities, the utilities, the toolkits obviously start drifting off. And so we have to deal with that. We found ways to kind of work through that. But really the most interesting one is the POC, stuck in POC stage. I have known, and even today can count endless examples of AI projects that are stuck in POC. And it's not because the AI is not producing results. The AI models actually produce fantastic results. But one of the challenges I think enterprises face is when you deploy AI, it's not about the AI, it's actually about the engineered application that brings AI to be able to be usable. So you think about the data ingestion, the data governance, the data management, and just kind of that whole ingestion track and getting it engineered in a way that it can happen on its own in an autonomous fashion. You think about the entire modeling and the model improvement and the reinforcement learning, and then really getting that cycle right so you can actually make the advances you need to make. And then you think about the governance, which is particularly around model management. Like once a model, when do you actually promote the new model? What is the threshold at which you actually change it? How do you actually keep a record of when you did it? How do you audit it 3 months later when the regulators come calling as to why you approved this one loan and did not approve this one loan transaction? You have to think about this as an engineered application that is a lot more than just the AI or the ML model that sits in it. And so if you don't start with that as a mindset, you start with building the AI or the ML, you do 10% of what's required. You start thinking about the entire engineered application, that's the remaining 90% of what needs to be done. And so one of the biggest lessons I think we've learned around deploying AI in the enterprise is to be thoughtful about the entire application. AI is one component that drives us to get great results and amazing performance, but it needs to be done in the context of a larger application that actually brings it to you in a way that enterprises can consume. Anyway, a lot said there, but in a nutshell, amazing promise, opportunity, and here and now. And we see this every single day with users, with enterprises, and challenges and learnings that I think we've had over the last 3, 4, 5 years that we're taking into account as we deploy it. And I just see great optimism ahead.
Fantastic. Justin, I want to turn over to you and ask you about some of the challenges and the gotchas there in this whole scheme of things. And Sanjay mentioned one, stuck in the POC, for example. Would you have a view on this, and given the kind of companies that you're investing in, including ours at Scan, what's your view on this? What are the challenges and the gotchas of the AI world?
Yeah. Well, I always come at this from the startups perspective first, and then the enterprise perspective, by derivation, because I work with startups trying to serve enterprises. I think a common gotcha for startups is kind of that data bootstrap problem, that small data problem, which is sort of, how do you build an AI-powered product when you don't yet have data? But how do you get data until you have a product that can serve customers? And there's a lot of ways to bootstrap through that with public data sets, with a sort of non-AI powered product that nonetheless just has useful workflow where you accumulate data and then build on that over time. But a very common thing for our startups to do is to have kind of initial design partnerships with enterprises that are really committed to innovation, where they can build an initial model with the data of one enterprise, then get second, third one on board. By the time you have 3 enterprises, you're starting to really see the economies of scale, the power of illuminating those edge cases, where one customer's data alone, maybe gets a working model, maybe gets something that's sort of minimally viable, but once you start combining and getting kind of the data completeness across multiple customers, all of a sudden you have something that's much more powerful. So that's a typical getting started problem. I think another place where we've seen AI have trouble taking hold actually is less of a technology issue and more, although maybe more technology can help, but it's more about risk. And when we look at heavily regulated environments, some of the places where AI can do the most good are also the places that are the most regulated, as they should be, because they're the most risky to society in financial services, in healthcare. And so we find a place where, a healthcare provider might see an AI technology that does a good job diagnosing or predicting that someone will fall ill, or detecting a tumor on an ultrasound, but really doesn't want the risk. And society collectively, not just that one customer alone, don't want the risk of turning over that decision to a machine. And so can we either figure out ways to insert into the workflow in a way that is supporting a human being's judgment, and so we're doing no harm, we're never making the human worse at the job, we can only make them better, we're an assist. But sort of even more importantly, if very often machine learning, because of the nature of this very mathy representation of numbers and kind of pattern matching, it can be opaque. It can make a prediction but not tell you why or how. And so AI has rightly come under a lot of scrutiny for use cases like credit approvals in the financial services industry, or fraud detection. It can say, I think this might be a fraudulent transaction, but it can't say why. Or it can say, I think this person's a bad credit risk or a good credit risk. It can't say why. And so if we look at those predictions, though, and they represent adverse outcomes, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable to society. And so increasingly, I would say in the last few years, more technology investment is going into solving the explainability problem in AI, and more broadly into the category of responsible AI. How do we solve for the unintended consequences? Because AI does exactly what we tell it to do, but no more and no less. And it learns from data, but if there's bias in the data, then that will carry through. We think of the machine as objective, but if we feed it subjective data, it will be just as subjective in the predictions and judgments that it draws. So I think that this field is so I think building this kind of halo of responsible AI, explainability, fairness, anti-bias, getting all those technologies in place kind of around the core prediction engines, I think is essential for AI to be more broadly accepted, trusted, adopted, especially in these sort of areas where it's higher risk.
Indeed. You gave me a very juicy apple to bite into there, and I want to turn it over to Sanjay, because I know Sanjay has a view on this area, having spoken to him in the past. But Sanjay, truly, there is a whole continuum of explainability. In that continuum, did Jocelyn speak to only one part of that continuum, or is there a bigger picture on explainability?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think Jocelyn's points are right on the mark. I think the responsible AI is actually even a larger point, and then we get to explainability. And to be honest, explainability in the long run will cease to be an issue, at least in my mind. Look, my grandmother goes in, puts 2 toasts in a toaster, presses a plunger somewhere, and then waits, and then toast is done. She doesn't know how it's done. She doesn't know whether it's going to be done to the right degree of doneness or not. She doesn't think about which electrical circuit is firing on the back of what machinery to make what happen. It is just that she's used it so many times. She knows that you put 2 toasts in that two slices of bread, and the toast comes out. And I think over time, as we start using AI much more pervasively, it'll come to be something we accept more. Now, we need to take a lot of responsibility about making sure there's unbiased, that there's explainability. And by the way, at some point in time, explainability is an issue. So the way we've tried to solve the explainability problem is explain it to the level that if a human analyst came with the same result, how would they explain it, right? So I'll give you an example. We take balance sheets from large and small businesses on the behalf of banks, and banks will actually, as they do lending portfolios, they'll understand the risk associated in that portfolio. And the way to do that classically is when you bring in the 500 different balance sheets of the 500 companies you lend to or more, and then you actually have CFS go through all of that and kind of extract the risk per company by segment, aggregate by segment, aggregate for the portfolio. You have a risk, and that's how you manage your financials a little bit more tighter. Well, all of that now we do with AI capabilities. AI can actually read an entire balance sheet. It'll read the footnote on page 19 and be able to talk through that and then convert it into the numbers and so forth. But the trick is when you come up with an answer and say, here's the risk score, you got to be able to say why. And it has to respond and say, wait a minute, Sanjay, double click on it, and it breaks down to the 6 components, and the 4th one doesn't look right. And that doesn't sound right. Tell me why. You click on it, breaks down to the 3 portfolios. You click on it, comes down to 1 company. You say, why this 1 company? It gets you to the 2 sentences on the footnote of page 19 that was interpreted to mean this or that. That's as good as any analyst, any CFA you can find. So the idea is, how do you think about explainability in the human logic and actually code it in the way you deliver the AI results so people can actually quickly unpeel it back? And that's been a really, really important, I think, lesson we've learned as we've gone through it. I think the thoughtful use is a bigger topic. Look, I think, and Jocelyn said it right. She used the word prediction. I love it, right? In the end, AI is a prediction machine. It's the best prediction machine we have or likely will have, right? But it does not replace human judgment. And so this notion of artificial intelligence is wrong. It is augmented intelligence, that the human and AI work together, that the AI gives you the best prediction possible at any one instant, but judgment and reasoning lies with the human that actually uses that to make a composite decision. And that's why, AI is never a destination. It's actually a journey. It's the thing that allows you to get to the answer. It's not the answer. When you walk into a conversation and say, well, we want to be an AI, we want to be able to put AI into solving it. It's the wrong question. I mean, AI is not an answer looking for a question. That's not how you start. You start with a business problem, and then you break it back into what's needed, and then AI becomes a really valuable tool to be able to deliver a part of that problem that, as I said earlier, needs to be engineered in the context of a full solution, and that's super important. So I think explainability is important. I think that right use and being thoughtful about ethics associated with the use of AI is super important. But I think all of that needs to be superimposed in a contextual setting where there is context and judgment and reasoning that are the elements that come from the decision makers, and this prediction and probability and pattern matching that comes from AI engines. If we combine that into augmented intelligence, not necessarily AI, artificial, the way we call it, but augmented intelligence, I think we've got the right winning formula there. And it works every single time you deploy it in an enterprise.
I couldn't agree more, Sanjay. You know the work we are doing at Scan, right? Which is to look at work at scale on the desktops of hundreds of people. And customers often ask us, well, if you're able to observe all of this work, can this lead to a better process? And the implicit assumption there is, in some sense, in that question, is that if you observe the process, can you design a new process? We say no. The point is that there's value to judgment here. We are bringing evidence to expertise, evidence that was not available before, and that evidence is born on this kind of AI capability, computer vision capability to understand human actions. So this resonance between judgment and evidence and all these things will continue. I don't think one can replace the other, and in that somewhere that whole explainability has meaning in that resonance. So
yeah, Avinash, the other thing I like about the work you guys are doing is actually the fact that it addresses the three pitfalls I talked about earlier. You get through the small data problem because you're able to look across industries, across companies, and so you actually have a much wider data set to be able to reflect upon. You solve the long tail problem because you actually concentrate that on intrinsically as job number 1, as opposed to job number 19 for me, on top of 600 other things I'm supposed to be doing. And so I have a long tail problem. You actually are right in the middle of, in the eye of the tiger, if you will. And then most importantly, I think the thing I like about the way you're approaching it is you're thinking about an engineered application, not an AI project, you're not here to give me one recommendation on yes or no. You're actually thinking about it holistically. And that's the break point today, right? Like for this to be usable, for AI to really be practically applicable into business processes, it needs to be an end-to-end process and an engineered application that delivers that. And so anyway, I like where you're going with where you're at Scan.
No, absolutely. And today, most of our conversations are not about AI. It's about the impact that we're delivering at Scan for our customers and business processes. I want to ask one final question to Jocelyn. Jocelyn, as you see customers bring in either vendors such as ourselves from an AI point of view or solving a certain problem, and there are also customers who might want to develop certain things in-house. What's your view on all of this in-house view of building your own models versus importing them or getting other people to bring it in? How do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I think it needs to be both. I think there's no world where it isn't both. I think all enterprises are becoming technology companies, and that includes AI and data, like everything else. But I think I do notice sometimes when I'm talking to CIOs or CDOs, there's sort of an implicit assumption of, oh, AI is this new thing, and anything I want to do with AI, I'm going to have to build for myself because there are not yet a lot of AI-powered products out there. And I would say I think that's actually short-sighted, because if you're ready to be an innovator, if you're ready to build something yourself from scratch, you actually should really be ready to work with a startup or a young company that is innovating quickly, and for whom that's job number 1, as Sanjay put it, not job number 19. And I think that we just shouldn't regard this as fundamentally different from software investments that we're making as companies. Nobody would ever sit down and say, I think I'll write my own CRM application. My salespeople really need that to be organized. Of course not. There's, tons of great CRM applications out there in the market, from, incumbent leaders to upstarts, and you can have your pick. and there's just, and you're never going to keep up with the market in developing that. And so, of course, you would buy your CRM. You'd never think of building that. But where you might really think about building something is something that's more unique and competitively advantageous to your own business. And so I think in AI, it's sort of very much the same. And the hard part is project selection always, which is, you know, in which of these areas is it really unique? Is it my core competency? Do I have sort of specialized data where I have enough data? It covers the edge cases. I don't have the small data problem. It's not long tail. This is core central priority to me in my business. Maybe build that in-house. Invest in homegrowing a stack around that. But if you're going to be, you know, if this is something that's just going to make your business run more efficiently or more securely, if this is an efficiency creator that you know, that many vendors share, you're probably not going to beat the market. And if you want to be early to market, a great way to do that and to get great leverage on your effort and your vision is to work with an early stage company. And of course, I'm always excited to meet with enterprises who are interested in doing that, because it's not all we work with are the AI powered startups. And so far more often than you'd imagine, you know, they may not yet be a market leader that's a household name, but you can find, you know, the problems that plague enterprises. There are founders inspired to solve them, who are on their way.
Everyone at scan.ai completely agrees with you, Jocelyn. But thank you again. I know we are on top of the hour now, so thank you for this excellent conversation. I think the word that I want to underline here in the topic, which is a practical overview for business leaders on AI, I think it's practicality that we got in a fair dose today from both Sanjay and Jocelyn. Thank you both for this conversation.
All right, thank you, Jocelyn, Sanjay, and Avinash for the wonderful panel discussion. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Zoe, and I'm the program manager for the Enterprise Tech program. I've been working very closely with our Batch A startups in the past 2.5 months, and I'm super proud to present them to you today. The 9 startups that we're going to introduce to you today, they were selected by our corporate partners. And whatever field they're in, they're definitely one of the top players. And I want to give a special thank you to our corporate partners for making this wonderful event happen. And some of them are here with us today, NTT, BT, and NEC. Thank you so much for everything. All right, without further ado, we'll start with the first startup, RapidFort. RapidFort is a cloud-native cybersecurity company helping organizations minimize attack surface of their cloud workloads automatically and continuously. We have the Chief Commercial Officer, Russ, here with us today, and he's going to give a quick overview of the company as well as a quick demo. Please welcome Russ and RapidFort.
Good morning, I'm Russ from RapidFort, and thank you for attending this plug-and-play pitch event. We secure your cloud containers rapidly. We minimize the attack surface of your containers automatically and continuously. Our solution allows you to have 80% fewer vulnerabilities, 80% less zero-day attack exposure, and we reduce the number of packages in your workloads so there's fewer patches to apply and manage. And we can do this within minutes. Finding vulnerabilities in your containers is easy. There are a number of scanning solutions that allow you to identify these, but removing them is hard. Typically, this is done manually, which is very time-consuming and intensive. RapidFort is the only solution that auto-removes vulnerabilities. Modern software development techniques provide tremendous benefits in terms of cost, productivity, efficiency, and performance. Most of it is comprised of open source software. It's developed using microservices architectures, and it's containerized and deployed in DevOps workflows. Unfortunately, this results in large attack surfaces, and typical applications have thousands of vulnerabilities that have to be manually removed. This results in productivity losses because developers are constantly having to patch and manage large code bases. This results in a number of pain points. Vulnerability remediation is a large burden on many organizations, and our solution provides an 80% improvement. We're also able to shrink down the size of the container which reduces the zero-day attack surface by a similar amount. This means there are less packages to track and reducing the patch management burden by between 50 and 90%, language dependent. There are other benefits in terms of an increased ability to manage your software supply chain risk, and this provides speed and efficiency gains for DevOps that is sometimes hampered by security concerns. Our key insight is that 50 to 90% of software in workloads is not actually used, but it can be exploited. In that sense, every line of code is a liability. What we have created is hardening as a service. What we do is through a series of very simple API calls, we allow you to observe your container's runtime behavior, and we have a number of technologies for doing this. After we have profiled your container by examining which files are used, we then remove these files and return a smaller container which boots faster and costs less infrastructure costs in terms of bandwidth and memory. In a recent case study, which we did in partnership with the US Air Force, we were able to reduce the attack surface by 82% and the number of vulnerabilities across a wide variety of containers by 78%. These results are replicated or demonstrated here. Here is your standard NGINX container, and there are 170 vulnerabilities in this. After the Air Force has hardened the container, and they have a number of technologies for doing this, they reduced the vulnerability profile to 115. We can then take this military-grade container and transform the vulnerability profile to only 17 vulnerabilities, reducing the attack surface dramatically. We get similar results for other customers. We reduced packages by 65%, the number of vulnerabilities by 88%, and the size by 61%. And these are transformative results that will deliver significant value to your organization. We have a complete solution that allows you to scan, profile, and harden your containers. We are able to risk score using an AI model the remaining vulnerabilities that provides deeper insights and allows you to better prioritize your remediation efforts. We have other tools that enable you to comply with new cybersecurity standards, where we provide an SBOM and an RBOM. An RBOM being a real bill of materials that enables you to understand what your containers are actually using and running. We are getting a very positive reception from our customers, where our solution has been described as magical, impressive, and much needed. Working with us is easy. You can start with a free risk assessment, which will give you an overview of your overall software supply chain posture. We also allow you to prioritize which are the high impact workloads, the packages that are actually being used, and through a gradual process, you're able to step into the process by understanding and gradually hardening your containers over time. It's easy to work with us. We'd love to do a free risk assessment, and we have a standardized POC process that can get you up and running in only a few hours. I'd like to give you a very quick demo of the product. Every time you harden a container, you'll get a vulnerability profile like this. And this is the vulnerability profile before and after. And then we have a number of other features that allow you to understand the files, packages, and system calls and network traffic used by your container, which allows you to engage other hardening techniques. And we provide SecOm profiles to lock down the operating system kernel. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Russ. All right, now up next we have another cybersecurity startup, and you can pretty much tell by looking at their name. Lorica empowers private and secure collaboration, data discovery, and analytics globally. Please welcome Lorica Cybersecurity.
Hi, my name is Elliot Simiatiki, and I'm the head of business development at Lorica Cybersecurity. We're really excited to be participating in the Plug and Play Winter Summit. Lorica is a leader in fully homomorphic encryption, a breakthrough in cryptography that allows cloud data analytics, sharing, and machine learning all in the encrypted domain. The data itself is never decrypted, thus eliminating vulnerabilities. So in our discussions with corporate technology leaders during the Plug and Play program, we've been noticing a very similar challenge being faced by enterprises across many industries. Everyone is being charged with investing in technologies to streamline costs or deliver a great digital product or experience. That's why many of you have joined this call in the first place. But a digitally defined business is a data-driven business. And the truth is, data itself only gets more insecure as it becomes more valuable. The very technologies you're being asked to invest in often open up new attack surfaces and cyber vulnerabilities. That's why we call it the dilemma. Despite increasing investments by enterprises in cybersecurity, the trend line on data security is quite worrisome. If you're concerned about this, you're certainly not the only one. 85% of companies recently surveyed with a large cloud footprint had sensitive data exposed in 2021. As a result, 18.8 billion records have been exposed by data breaches in the first half of 2021 alone. And not surprisingly, cyber insurance rates have spiked, an average of 32% in 2021, accounting for the increasing frequency and cost of data breaches. At Lorica, we believe enterprises need to be thinking about data security at the source, the data itself. On the left here, you can see an image of the data lifecycle today. One of the biggest problems of securing data in the cloud is that the data needs to be decrypted during computation. In other words, for updating, searching, analytics, or machine learning, resulting in serious vulnerabilities, whether from malicious actors or insider threats. On the right, you can see the cloud data lifecycle operating under fully homomorphic encryption. This is the holy grail of encryption because data never needs to be decrypted during computation and remains quantum safe at all times. So whether your enterprise is the target of a malicious attack or someone accidentally leaves an S3 bucket open, the data itself is never exposed and cannot be decrypted in the future by a quantum computer. We safeguard the data, allowing enterprises to focus on their data-driven business with confidence. Many people in the InfoSec or cybersecurity world have heard of homomorphic encryption, but have asked us whether it's really ready for prime time. We believe the time is now, and we're proving it with our customers in financial services, cloud computing, and national security. But here are the forces driving adoption of FHE. The accelerated migration of data to the cloud and increasing investments in AI and machine learning require solutions to protect the integrity of the data. On the regulatory front, the NSA has issued a zero trust memo earlier this year, warning organizations to assume that networks are already compromised. And we know about data protection regimes such as GDPR and CCPA. At the same time, FHE is getting faster and more compute efficient, making it ready for commercial use cases. There's an ISO standard being developed, which we at Lorica are contributing members to. And of course, everyone is concerned with the quantum event horizon. So the fact that FHE is based on quantum resistant lattice math provides future proofing. Lorica is made up of leaders in cryptography, high performance computing, and ML engineering. We've developed the fastest FHE enabled solutions for secure data analytics, sharing, and ML in the cloud. Our secure search product allows for encrypted queries to be sent to commercial databases and receive back encrypted results. Our secure machine learning products are designed for enterprise data science teams to ensure their ML activities are safeguarded. And you can see some of the common features of all our products. We provide military-grade, automated, and scalable solutions that can be deployed in any cloud or region with audit trails and compliance components built in. Now, I want to focus on our ML solutions because these have driven the most interest from the corporates we've engaged with during the Plug and Play program. Our secure ML core allows data science teams to send encrypted data sets to encrypted cloud ML models and receive back encrypted inference results. This prevents data poisoning, output integrity manipulation, and ML model theft, all attacks that can undermine the multi-million-dollar data science investments being made by enterprises. Our differentiator at Lorica is performance. We're 45 times faster than Microsoft Seal, which is an open source and free FHE toolkit. In this fraud detection example you're seeing, for secure machine learning inference on AWS with 1 million credit card transactions, our execution times are approaching plain text. In other words, There's only a very small penalty in speed for using our platform, and your data in the cloud remains fully secure at all times. We have product, and we're happy to share more information on performance and pricing on request. As part of our plug and play engagement, we've launched a discounted early adopter program, and we've seen really great uptake thus far. If your team is concerned with security and integrity of your cloud data operations and ML activities, please reach out. Lorica has developed innovative and cost-effective solutions to safeguard data and insights in the cloud. We integrate with existing technologies and do not require any new IT or cryptography investments. And our proprietary techniques deliver the fastest FHE solutions on enterprise-scale data. Our technology protects data at the source, so you can generate previously unavailable insights or deliver great digital products and experiences with the confidence that private, sensitive, or personal data is protected now and into the future. Thanks very much for your time, and we're always happy to connect with enterprises for a quick consult on cloud data security, encrypted machine learning, and how this fits into your cybersecurity posture.
Thanks, Elliot. Next, we have Truera. Truera provides AI quality solutions to help enterprises analyze machine learning, improve model quality, and build trust. Please welcome Truera.
Hi, my name is Will Uppington. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Truera. We're an AI quality software provider, and I'm super excited to tell you guys what we're up to. So we're solving one of the top problems that companies face when they're adopting AI, and that's AI quality. It's a problem that machine learning teams face throughout the lifecycle. It shows up in three ways. The first part is in the development process. So how do you build AI that's actually going to perform well in the real world versus just in your test environment? 85% of projects actually fail in some way. And this is a major problem for all machine learning and data science organizations. The second is, how do you get stakeholders on board when you're adopting AI? This is also one of the big reasons why AI projects fail. Third, how do you maintain the quality of your models once you move them into production? COVID has been a really bright example of how challenging that can be to maintain your quality when the entire world changes. So let's talk a little bit about what is AI quality. Traditional machine learning teams have used global accuracy metrics in the test environment in order to assess quality. But most experienced ML teams understand that this is not enough when you're trying to understand real-world performance. You have to look at more factors to understand whether it's going to really perform well in the real world. The first is the actual model performance. How well does your model generalize to the real world? Is it conceptually sound? Is it going to be stable? Is it going to be reliable? Second is societal factors. There's increasing societal scrutiny on AI machine learning. How do you make sure it's fair and transparent and secure? Third is operational factors. Is your model explainable? Can people use it and collaborate it with? Is it understandable and documented? And four, a fundamental building block, which is, do you have high quality data? So what is our solution to the AI quality problem? Well, we built AI quality software that has two fundamental parts. One is we call diagnostics, which helps you evaluate, validate, and improve AI quality. And the other is monitoring, which once you move it into production, how you monitor and debug that to maintain your quality. So how do we address those different AI quality problems that I just went through? So first, on the real world performance piece, we provide a comprehensive and unique set of best practice model quality analytics to enable you to do conceptual analysis, or error analysis, data debugging, stability, reliability, segment analysis, model comparison, and explainability. We support this for a variety of use cases across all different verticals, and we've got experience in a lot of these, and we support a whole bunch of different model types such as tree ensemble and neural networks. Second, so let me give you an example of how we do this. This is a credit risk model where our software has automatically identified a feature, the annual income feature, with potential conceptual soundness issues. We've allowed the machine learning engineer to visually highlight the issue where the model actually believes that people with $140,000 of income are actually riskier than those with $110,000 in income, which is not a conceptually sound kind of result from the model. And then the question is this a data quality issue or a model quality issue? And we've actually, by showing the ground truth right here, been able to diagnose it as a data quality issue. The second thing we help address is societal factors. So we can help you evaluate bias, and then most importantly, do that root cause analysis so that you can mitigate and report on it. Third, we can address those operational issues around trust, explainability, and compliance. We provide more accurate and much faster explanations than the leading open source software. We allow you to deliver that in APIs and different applications. We allow you to answer all the questions from your stakeholders around why the model is doing what it's doing. And we also, for regulated entities, allow you to do comprehensive model risk management, so we can be the easy button for regulatory compliance. We also provide monitoring capabilities that allow you to observe your model inputs and outputs, which is a major gap. And we go way beyond the tracking of input and output drift, which is what most people do. We allow you to alert on data quality. We allow you to estimate your accuracy for improved visibility. And most importantly, we allow you to do really efficient debugging, because we can get to the root cause of what are the drivers of any kind of drift. So how do we fit in? We're very easy to fit into and embed in your AI stack. We're a containerized solution that can work on-prem or any kind of cloud environment. We've built a bunch of connectors for all these different kind of cloud environments. We can be deployed in a single container or part of a Kubernetes cluster. And we can support notebook type experiences or web GUI experiences and local development or development as part of an automated pipeline. Really flexible. What kind of value do we deliver? Well, we can deliver huge value from an ROI and model improvement perspective. We leverage our AI quality analytics to identify ways that one of our customers, a credit card company, to improve their model to the tune of over $10 million. We did that in less than 2 weeks of work. From an operational trust and explainability perspective, we worked with Standard Chartered to address the AI organizational trust challenges to enable the responsible adoption of AI in credit. And on a monitoring, we've worked with customers like HarperCollins to identify data quality issues that were leading to significant lower model performance in one of their important models. So how are we different? Well, it starts with our team. Our team contains the original inventors of AI explainability technology and a really seasoned group from a variety of different industries, like companies like Google and FICO, and startups and Microsoft and Visa that have deep machine learning expertise. And we're also unique versus what companies can build on open source software or versus other vendors. That starts with better enterprise class AI explainability that you can't just get anywhere. We are much faster, more accurate. There are significant accuracy issues with the issues of in open source software. We also provide comprehensive and unique AI quality analytics. We can do things that you simply other people cannot do by auto detecting feature problems, providing the root cause of that, analysis of that, identifying the root causes of bias or drift in models, being able to estimate accuracy when you don't even have ground truth available. And we also are really easy, as I mentioned, and flexible to integrate. We can work on virtually any platform. So we can be that true cross-platform solution that enables you to avoid kind of cloud lock-in or lock-in to any one particular development platform. And we're much more scalable than all the other alternatives. So thank you very much. Please contact me with any more information. I'm William Uppington, CEO, co-founder of TrueAI. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Will. Up next, we have Datatron. Datatron provides a single model governance management platform for all of your machine learning, artificial intelligence, and data science models in production. Please welcome Datatron.
Hi, my name is Victor Tu. Welcome to the Datatron session. We are really excited to share with you a few new updates with regards to the company. First, a new brand. The 3 colors in our logo symbolizes the 3 key stakeholders in order to ensure your machine learning models are running properly in production. We also took on a new mantra, enterprise-grade reliable AI platform. This is really because if you need to run your AI and machine learning models properly and reliably in production, you really need to be able to operationalize it quickly and rapidly. And you need to be able to monitor them and govern them, as well as observe them so that they can deliver the business values that you expect from your AI projects. So just a little bit about Datatron. Datatron is a small little startup based out of San Francisco. We are pre-Series A. There are about 20 of us. Even though we are a small little startup, we have gained a lot of mindshare in the marketplace today. A lot of media are covering us. We have Forbes, Datanami, eWeek. We've also been recognized by Gartner in many of their reports. In fact, they actually compare us to some of the biggest software vendors out in the marketplace today. This speaks volume to the types of software that Datatron is delivering in terms of MLOps as well as governance. We have a number of great customers using us in live production. This is just a small sample size. These customers are not doing POCs or pilots. They are actually using us in mission critical live scenarios. We have customers in food and drinks. We have customers in banking and financial services, telco, and so on. We'd like to announce today and share with you that we have one of the top COVID-19 pharmaceutical companies who have also signed up to use Datatron. They are replacing their current very popular MLOps open source platform with Datatron. This is because with Datatron now they get enterprise grade functionalities and supportability, whereas with the open source platform, when they run into issues, they couldn't find a good way to find support for their software. So a little bit insight in terms of what's going on with the ML development lifecycle. On the left-hand side, you have the development process where there are a lot of development tools out there. We really believe data scientists should use the best tools to develop the best models for their business. And therefore, Datatron decided very early on to not touch that area. Instead, we focus on helping data scientists to adopt the tools that they enjoy the most to deliver the best value for the customers, for the clients, and help them deploy them into production. Because this is really the key. If you have a model that is cutting edge but cannot be deployed, it really means nothing. So we help deploy, monitor, and govern the models in production. Not only can we support some of the most popular frameworks out there, we support any languages, any libraries, and we can run on any cloud environment, whether it is on premises or in any of the clouds, or you can even use it in intercloud. So with that, let me actually show you a quick demo with our platform. So as you can see here, this is the first screen that people will get when they log into the platform. They can have a quick overview of what's running, the number of models that are running, the number of workspaces that are running, and governance. This is where enterprises can get a high-level overview on the health of the models. And when the machine learning level metrics are having issues, then they can dig deeper. But at the high level, you can get to see their biases, their performance issue, drift, as well as anomaly. And we also have this custom metrics. This is really providing businesses with the ability to design custom KPIs to measure what the key stakeholders care about from the business point of view. So let's take a look at bias. So since we indicated 10 biases in the model, we can actually dig deeper into what are the issues here. So when the business people see biases, they can actually ask data scientists to come in and say, why is there biases? And we identify where the biases are. So allowing the data scientists to keep digging deeper to understand where the situations are. So next, we'll jump into the model catalog. The model catalog typically is where everyone starts off with Datatron, because this is where they register all of the models. You can actually upload all of your models into our environment, and we keep track of all of the different versions. When they are being uploaded, we keep track of all of the different metadata. We extract them directly from the models automatically. You can see all of the different versions here. And let's go ahead and look at some of the models version here. As you can see, there are different input and output features. This is a very simple, flat feature set, but a lot of our customers are actually building very sophisticated, complex, multi-layer features in order to ensure that their models are running correctly. And when they're ready to get the models up and running, this is where they hand it off to the machine learning engineer. The machine learning engineer actually have 3 ways of deploying our models. You can deploy it as an API way or using batch processing. So today, I'm just going to focus on showing you what we do with the API real-time inferencing. So in this case, let me actually go ahead and show you. This is a patented capability with our real-time inferencing solutions. We have a gateway here that is abstracting the models behind the scene. So you are probably aware whenever a model is updated, the URI actually changes. So every time a model is being updated, you would expect a new URI, a new hash key, and that becomes a handshake or communication nightmare between the data scientists as well as the application team. With Datatron, we provide a static URI. Because we abstract out the URI from all of the different models that you have, the applications team only need to care about this one URI and not worry about the ever-changing URI from the models. Another thing that is very powerful, which is also patented by Datatron, is really our advanced routing capability. Whether you are using it for fallback or as well as parallel mode, or you can use it for A/B testing as well as shadow mode. This is really some of the power with Datatron. You can actually monitor your models using production data, production traffic, monitor it over time before you decide to switch over from the old model to new model. So with that, we thank you for spending time with us today. We are really excited and looking forward to helping you operationalize, monitor, and govern your machine learning models in production. Please contact us, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Victor. Now on the screen, you will see we just launched a poll. And the purpose of this poll is an opportunity for our audience, if you would like to connect the startups that just presented with RapidForward, Lorica Cybersecurity, TrueEra, and Datatron, please select their names on the screen, and I will reach out after the event to make email introductions. All right, I will leave the poll on the screen for a few seconds while we move on to our next startup, Topia. And it's time to have some fun. With Topia, you can create a fully customizable digital space to explore with new and old friends. And we have the CEO and co-founder, Daniel, here, and he's going to give us a tour on Topia. Let's check it out.
Hi there. I'm Daniel Liebeskin, the CEO and co-founder of Topia, which is you can find at topia.io. You may have heard a lot about the metaverse over the last couple weeks as Facebook changed their name to Meta. Many other big tech companies have announced their plans to have metaverse platforms of their own. And Topia has actually been playing in the metaverse space for over a year now. And I'd love to give you a sense of what it is that we're doing. So in Topia, as you can see, you can build these immersive worlds, highly customizable, which we'll talk about in a second. But you have these embodied characters that you can move around the game world. And as you approach people, you actually fade in. Hi, Danielle. Your audio and video fades in. You connect to them so that you can have intimate conversations, small group conversations. And you can keep moving around the space. As I moved away, we disconnected. And so you can imagine if there were 100 people in here, everybody is able to have the agency to actually move themselves around and explore the space, have serendipity, and when they get close to each other, they connect in a small group and have these chance encounters, can have these small conversations, intimate conversations. And so unlike many of the video meeting platforms that you've been using for the last couple of years, you have the agency to actually have many-to-many interactions within a larger context. So if you have a 200-person holiday party, which happens a lot in Topia, it's not 200 people on screen together. Instead, you'll have 2 people and 5 and 15 and 10 and all of these different groups that have formed all over the world. And so what we've been finding is, we originally set out to just improve how people socialize online, how they, in a metaverse type of way, how they come together for synchronous experiences that really emulate real life, right? And asynchronous, which is how the internet has been, is more like email, where you send something and then you receive it later on. You receive a response later on. In the synchronous internet, which is really what the metaverse is all about, it's about real-time, authentic human connection. And this is really important because as we think about the future of work and the emerging distributed, the continuing distributed team nature of all of our companies, we have to ask the question, how do we actually strengthen the bonds between employees and turn them into a community? How do we build culture? How do we retain our top talent? And the best way to retain talent is actually to have people know each other and like each other. It's not to have them be mercenaries where they're essentially just showing up to meetings and don't actually genuinely know anybody at the company. And so almost a year ago now, when Asana IPO'd, they brought 1,000 employees together inside of Topia to celebrate that IPO. The CEO was able to broadcast. We have broadcast functionality. So everybody in the entire world could hear him talking about the IPO, get excited together. But the people were actually able to break into small groups and navigate the space and run into each other just like they would do at an in-person celebration. Asana has since thrown many parties in Topia. They have holiday parties, happy hours. We've had Okta, another company that has had scavenger hunts and an all hands. We've had Autodesk. We've had Benevity, many different companies using Topia to bring their employees together for fun, for play, and to strengthen the bonds between each other and turn themselves into a community of employees, of coworkers, of friends. And so one of the keys to the metaverse is going to be the real-time experiential in-person emulation that you can get from the synchronous internet. It's also going to be about being able to co-create the space and the experience itself. And so you can see I can put myself into edit mode here. And as I move my cursor around, everything here, including this plug and play banner, is actually interactable. And so we can see that I can just click move and I can move the plug and play banner to wherever I want. And I just placed it under this foosball table. And so we can move things. You can add assets. So just looking at the Topia library, here's a fireplace I'm going to drop. You can upload your own assets. Very easy to do. You can look at the assets that you've placed. You can actually walk over to anything. And then this entire scene is actually a template, right? And so in Topia, it's very, very easy for you to get started, to bring somebody from your company in and say, hey, look, set up just a template for us, and then we'll customize it from there. And so you can see here, and they can be quite different from one another. So I'm going to actually select a scene that's very different from what we're looking at right now. And that also gives you a sense that Topia worlds can be absolutely anything. They can be this black and white style, but they can also be this immersive, basically, big green space. And you can move around and discover and have experiences and adventures together. It's like we're on a retreat. And there's embedded audio. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's actually sounds embedded in this space. And so you're able to actually embed content in any object. You can put YouTube videos, Twitch streams, audio. You can actually think of the Topia world as a WordPress of social experiences. So you can actually embed clickable links like website links and frames inside of any object as well. And that allows you to actually create your own website, your own marketing material inside of these immersive social experiences. So this can be great for HR to really improve the camaraderie and the culture of your employees. But many people are using Topia as a sales tool or a marketing tool. You can embed product demos inside of Topia. Ultimately, the best way to show you Topia is to bring you into one of these worlds. And so we would love to give you a tour, which also couples as a way to actually meet face to face, see the whites of each other's eyes, and become friends. So please email us. We would love to talk. You can email us at plugandplay@topia.io. Again, that's plugandplay@topia.io. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
All right, thanks, Daniel. And I hope you all enjoyed the little walk with him in the forest, a good change of scenery. All right, up next, we will move on to Patch. Patch is a provider of a negative emissions platform intended to patch the environmental footprint of clients. Please welcome Patch.
Hi there. Thank you so much for tuning in to our presentation on Patch. My name is Miral Alaraj, and I am the go-to-market and business development leader for Patch, covering enterprise accounts. So before we jump in, kind of what is Patch and what do we do? We are a climate tech company, and we are an API-led marketplace for carbon removals and carbon offsets. And what we actually do is we connect companies on the left-hand side with projects on the right-hand side. And when we work with projects, we actually work with projects across the board, ranging from traditional nature-based projects such as forestry, all the way to the frontier projects such as direct air capture, biochar, and more. So these are very nascent technologies looking at carbon sequestration and removal, and it's a sector that we are super excited about. So our platform provides you with two use cases. There's two ways that you can use our technology. The first one is our no-code self-service dashboard. And then the second one is actually our API integration, which you can use for estimates, so estimating emissions from certain activities, as well as kind of building climate positive products to complete the offset. So let's see what the dashboard looks like. So this is a screenshot of what our self-service dashboard looks like. This is a tool that you can use to log in, access. We have about 45 projects listed. You can kind of log in, filter by geography or by technology or by price point, and so on, and be able to access all the information related to a project that is building and developing these carbon removal credits. So you'll see here, you have all the information about the project, some key details about the quality of the project. So projects have to go through a diligence and meet certain criteria before they get listed on our platform. And we surface all that information back out to you. We also surface updates from the projects themselves directly. This is something that you would not be able to access if you were buying carbon credits off the carbon marketplace, of the market. So in here, you're able to see direct updates from the project, as well as some companies who are also supporting this particular project. Moving forward onto the API use case, I have captured kind of at a very high level a few use cases here, and hope we have the chance to discuss these with you in more detail. The first use case is the ability to estimate emissions from, this is a shipping and an e-commerce example. So estimate emissions from shipping and enable either your consumer or the company itself can do it to offset the emissions relating to this particular shipment. So this is an example of an e-commerce, a large e-commerce player in the UK. Another interesting use case is the travel use case, which everyone will be familiar with. So the ability to offset emissions relating to your trip, whether that is flights, whether that is trains, but also car trips and Ubers and any type of transportation, really. We're also seeing a lot of use cases in fintech. We're seeing a lot of use cases in the food sector as well. So there's lots and lots of use cases. We work with companies across all sectors and all industries and all sizes, and really help them either offset their unavoidable emissions or launch really exciting climate positive products. So with that, want to thank you so much for your time, and hope to see you at the networking event in a few weeks' time. So thanks so much.
All right, thank you. And now on the screen, we just launched our second poll. If you would like to connect with Topia and Patch, please select their names, and I will reach out after the event to make email introductions. We'll give it a couple of seconds, and then we will move on to our next startup, Pecan. As I mentioned in the beginning of the event, that our program is very, very international. So we have startups from all over the world joining our Batch 8 program. Pecan is actually from Tel Aviv, Israel. Pecan platform automates the entire predictive analytics process, reducing time to model from months to days. Please welcome Pecan.
Hello, my name is Asher Geffen, and I'm the Director of Business Development at Pecan, and it's a pleasure to speak with you today. I would like to share with you about Pecan, who we are, and what we do. As we all know, there's a lot of opportunities for companies to use their data to leverage AI and machine learning-based technologies in order to make better decisions. The thing is, it's hard. It's hard for several reasons. First, the data preparation effort requires a lot of data, science, know-how, talent, and capabilities and assets that companies rarely have, and when they have, it takes a lot of that effort. Secondly, when modeling and reporting and tracking actions, these actions are prone to human error and bias when selecting models and interpreting them to the business. All in all, usually you get to the point where you solve the business question too late when it's not relevant, or maybe you're not solving the right business question. And this is a point where we've seen time and time again that technology is here, but there's a disconnect between the data science to the business. And what Pecan has done is creating a software platform that enables analysts and business users to get the capabilities of data science and using the advantages of data science without needing to be a data scientist. Pecan is an automated predictive analytics platform that requires no coding, no data prep, and totally designed for analysts and business users. Pecan is a company based in Tel Aviv and New York, raised to date $50 million, has created a lot of impact with several multinational companies, renowned in different leading startup lists. And our mission is to help companies get to the fastest path from raw data to AI-driven decisions, and doing that fast and easy. We've been working with a lot of global brands and companies, helping them make better decisions, and mainly helping their business units and their business users and analysts to create business value by easily creating predictive models without needing to be data scientists or coders in any way. The platform is an input-output platform. The user can create predictive models by connecting their data, whether if it's internal data, their CRM, their ERP, any data that they have in their data warehouse. It can be in multiple silos. And also we add external data enrichments that are relevant to their modeling. Pecan does all of the hard work of bringing that data together, preparing it for AI modeling, and then offers the user a very easy template to create predictive models for a wide range of business use cases, identifying churn, identifying opportunities for upsell, different segmentation questions for companies who are facing a broad customer base. So what to offer to who, when, through which channel, and also around demand forecasting. Different questions across the value chain of better predicting demand, enabling companies to manage their staffing better, manage their supply chain better, and manage their manufacturing better. So all across the customer lifetime, from the acquisition to the monetization through the retention, of helping companies make better decisions by using predictions and being more precise in their actions, and helping companies be a lot more efficient in their operations, and all by making predictions that are very relevant in a very easy and fast way. The way it works in a very high level is that the Pecan embeds into existing workflows. It actually makes life easier and not making it more complicated. These are just a few examples. It can be other data sources as well. Usually a company would work with any kind of ERP, CRM, data lake, and what they do is Pecan connects to these data sources with a very easy drag and drop kind of interface. Pecan then creates a very actionable data set of predictions. This is an example of predictions of who are the customers who are at the highest risk of churning, and therefore, and what are the drivers that are leading to that decision. This data set is then fed back into the decision support system. So in this example, it would be their CRM to trigger a more targeted and precise campaign in order to target the exact customers who have the most chance of churning, and therefore having a better chance of increasing the overall retention. So basically embedding into existing workflows and just making the decisions that are already being made a lot more smart, a lot more AI-based, and all of this with a very simple and easy tool. Pecan connects to a very wide array of data sources. You can also upload relational database files, so Excels, Parquet files, any of those above. And that's it. So Pecan is basically filled with people who are either very deep from the tech side with a lot of industry expertise, and we would love to be in touch to learn more about your needs and share how we can do things together. Thank you so much.
All right, our next startup is from Lisbon, Portugal, and they have some exciting news they want to share with our audience today. They were recently invited by Web Summit to pitch at the main stage on the opening night, and they presented Y-Data to around 40,000 people. Let's check out Y-Data.
Hi everyone, I am Gonzalo and I'm co-founder and CEO at Y-Data, and we help data science teams accelerate AI development by improving the quality of the existing data. And why do we exist? Well, we have been working in data science for the last decade. As we gain experience, we saw that AI is not delivering the expected results. Around 85% of all AI projects fail. And that's because data science teams have limited access to the data they need, and this data is very poor quality. Another scary number that made us tackle this problem is that data scientists spend around 80% of their daily time on just cleaning the data, and combined with 85% of failure rate for AI projects makes this highly inefficient practice, and according to research, costing businesses in excess of hundreds of millions a year. That is why we set out to solve these problems that data scientists struggle with every day. We provide a data development platform built by data scientists for data scientists that consists of three main models. First, we need to understand what data do we have and to evaluate its quality. And that step is called data discovery. In data discovery, we provide built-in connectors to every type of database or data lake and a data quality profiling that helps the user understand the quality of the existing data. Secondly, improvement of the data. To improve the data, we provide the tools needed to fix the problems identified in the data discovery stage, such as a development environment for experimentation, data labeling, and synthetic data generation that can be used as a tool for privacy and data generation. Lastly, for experimentation at scale, we provide support for training models and creation of data pipelines to ensure a proper data architecture and scalable machine learning flows. Our main feature, the generation of synthetic data for tabular and time series data, allow us to generate events that were not collected in the real world. And what makes it so special? We use AI to learn the statistical attributes of real data and generating new ones, keeping its utility and fidelity while respecting privacy. Each time a synthetic dataset is generated, we provide an automated report with a set of metrics on the quality and privacy of the new data, as you see on the screen. Synthetic data can solve a variety of problems that range from privacy, bias, missing values, dataset balancing, or dataset augmentation. All of this in a solution that can be implemented in a cloud provider of your choice or on premises, guaranteeing high scalability and availability to work with big data. Y-Data doesn't need to have custom integrations with existing systems and adapts to the existing authentication. If you want to start using us, we can make it available in the same day. We've already proven that our technology works, and we bring you some real case studies. They vary from improving fraud and failure detection to improving risk modeling or even sharing data. Our customers have saved and gained millions, while others have managed to reach full GDPR compliance without having to sacrifice their gains. Last but not least, Our team has many years of experience in data science. It counts with 10 more full-time employees, from ex-CTOs to PhDs in data science. We also count with mentors and advisors from other programs that we have been part of: Google for Startup Residency, NVIDIA, and Techstars. To finish this presentation, we leave you with a quote from one of our mentors, Professor Paul Hord, a legend in IBM history, one of the creators of IBM Watson. The problem why data is solving is foundational and core to machine learning. It is known that the quality of data is the most important asset for an AI solution, and ensuring it is something really hard and expensive. Thank you for your attention.
All right, last but not least, we have Contexa. They're based in London, and they have made some significant accomplishments in the past few months. First, they raised their Series D funding round with $153 million in summer, and they just released the version 2 of their platform. Let's check out Contexa.
Hi, I'm Chris Sanders, and I head up Customer Intelligence Solutions for Contexa. I'm just going to provide a very quick overview of the company and explain how we help organizations make trusted decisions based on meaningful data. So first of all, very quick overview of Contexa. We're over 350 people, very much a global company, so headquartered in London. I've got offices in the US, Canada, as well as across Europe and APAC. You can see a handful of our clients on the right-hand side there. You'll note that many of those are banking, but we're also working with a number of insurers, government agencies, and telcos as well. So what is our mission? It is to become the world-leading software company for creating a new generation of decision intelligence built on connected data. And I'm just going to talk through exactly how we do that. So it's using our contextual decision intelligence platform. And in a nutshell, this is designed to help organizations connect data across disparate internal systems and external sources to help drive better decision-making, better outcomes for the business, better outcomes for customers. And how we do that is through the 4 core capabilities in the center of this chart. So if I just start by describing the internal data and the external data there alongside the core platform, just to mention that we'll work with any data that can be made available to us. We don't stipulate any fixed data model, and it almost always is a combination of those 2 things, internal data, external data, which are often quite difficult to bring together. So the first thing we do is entity resolution. What entity resolution really allows us to do is say with a good degree of certainty where different references across those data sources actually refer to the same real life person or business or address, or other entities such as phone numbers, email addresses, and more. So imagine you've got Chris Sanders in one system, Christopher Sanders in a second system, Christopher Elliott Sanders in a third system, maybe bits of date of birth scattered across those, some address information, probably poorly formatted. How do you say with a good degree of certainty whether that is all one individual or actually 3 separate individuals? And that's what our entity resolution is really all about. The next step is then the network generation. So this is then connecting all of those entities together based on relationships in the data. It could be connections between people and businesses based on directorships, based on shareholdings. It could be looking at business to business relationships, perhaps corporate structures or supply chains. There's many different types of relationship which we build in our networks. What's really important there is we only build relevant connections. We don't just build out any connection that we find in the data. The next stage is then the analytics framework. This is where we can actually apply different types of models across those networks at scale and in real time to provide insights to inform better decision making. And then on the right hand side, we've got our visualization and exploration, which we'll see in a moment. We have our own user interface, but we can also integrate the output of the analytics framework to help automate decisions or to push insights through to other channels, whether that be CRM, case management, or other channels as well. One final thing to mention here is we have a single platform, but we typically support many use cases from that platform. So it might be customer intelligence, creating that single customer view, driving better customer experience, customer acquisition, cross-sell, upsell, that sort of thing. Can be know your customer or know your supplier, fraud, credit risk, and compliance and AML as well. What's really important is that we can have a single platform, a single copy of data. And because we build our entities and networks dynamically, you can actually have slightly different views of those entities and networks to support all of those different use cases. So you don't need many copies of this in different areas of the business to support different users and different use cases, which is really important. So What sort of results have clients seen with Contexa? I'm just going to talk through a very quick case study for HSBC, who have used the platform in two quite different ways. So the first of those, uncovering hidden risk, so supporting their financial crime investigations team, but also to discover new business opportunities. You can see on the right-hand side there some of the stats from this. So you can see significant operational benefits in terms of the financial crime investigations, but also significant uplift in terms of revenue and some operational benefits on the commercial banking business side as well. And now just to show a quick demonstration of Contexa providing commercial banking insights within Salesforce as an example of the integration that I mentioned earlier, one of the options for the integration. So here you can imagine you're a relationship manager, you've logged into Salesforce for the day. In the background, Contexa has linked internal data, external data, built all of those networks I was describing earlier, and then scored those to identify a number of key insights to look at for the day. So we can see here a bit of a mixture of high-value prospects, of cross-sell opportunities, attrition risk, all prioritized based on a score with some top reasons for those being highlighted. And then you can click through to examine those in more detail, look at some of the details of the scoring associated with these particular insights. For example, here, good customer analysis, future energy, similar to your best existing customers. So the output of a machine learning model, even embedding the network visualization within there as well. This is then the Contexa UI. This is our network visualization. You can see here, we've got a mixture of what we call documents as well as entities, which are the things that Contexa resolve from a document. Katrina being an example of an individual entity there, and Stuart also an individual entity. We can see some commercial customer documents, again, an entity for that business, which connects through to external data. We can see some product holdings on the right-hand side there, as well as various other connections of this company. We can also then look at the scoring. So for example, Future Energy is connected to a couple of venture capitalists, indicating it's on a good growth trajectory, linked to a successful director, which bodes well for its future prospects. Good customer analysis we saw on the previous screen. And then things like rapid growth, high company value, taken through the external data, identifying this as an attractive prospect. Importantly here, we can also see referrals to your existing customer base. So here, for example, Stuart Frost is an existing private bank customer, and Contexa identifies that existing private bank customer as being the same person that exists in that external data through entity resolution by building that entity. So this is an example how Contexa can help drive new customer acquisition by highlighting an attractive prospect that fits a really nice profile, but that prospect also has a connection into your existing client base, which Contexa uncovers through entity resolution and network generation. So thank you very much for listening. We finished obviously there with quite a specific example of a particular use case in a particular sector. But if you'd like to learn more about the platform and understand how Contexa can support your business, please do reach out and get in touch. Happy to discuss further.
All right, perfect. Now on the screen, we just launched the last poll for today. If you would like to connect with Pecan, Contexa, and Y-Data, please select their names on the screen. I'll give it a few seconds. And with that, that concludes our startup presentations for today. If you missed part of the presentation or you want to rewatch part of it, we have the recording available on our YouTube channel. You just need to get on YouTube and search Plug and Play. All of our Winter Summit recordings will be available after the event. And if you have any questions about today's event or want to connect with any startups but missed out, please feel free to reach out to me at zoe@pmptc.com. Our next summit, the Summer Summit 2022, will likely be in person. So I really hope to see all of you, our partners here, come back again. And everyone watching remotely, you could visit us and join us for in-person summit next year. If you want to learn more about the Enterprise Tech program, please feel free to reach out to our co-directors, Connie and Nate. Connie at pmptc.com and Nate at pmptc.com. All right, with that, I wish everyone a wonderful rest of your day.
like it. Like when you fuck with my mind. Like that we're wrong, can't keep it right. No, no. Poison, but we're perfect. See the revenge in your eyes. Spend the goodbyes, replace them with fight.